So let's go through this reading here. Let me see if there's anything else that I saw when I was shuffling the cards here. I feel like they're telling you, push forward, don't jump ship, don't abandon projects. And this is not something that you're not one to abandon projects. I don't feel that, earth signs in general are not people that are flighty. They jump from one thing to the next. But I feel like you were feeling very, very discouraged at a very low point in your life, and you were pushing forward with something, and you're just like, it's not working out. What do I do? You were thinking about cutting your losses. You were thinking about scrapping it together, all together. You were thinking about compromising. I feel almost like, I don't want to say selling out, but it seems to me as if like you were pushing so hard and you were so adamant about it, and you're just like, it's not really working, and I've invested so much energy and so much time, and it's not coming out the way that I want. So I feel like I need to abandon projects. But I feel that you're getting some spiritual insights to how to creatively re-examine or to approach this problem from a different angle. And as a result, you're getting some really, really solid breakthroughs that are coming through for this month. Okay, so really beautiful energy. And I do feel that you're going to be quite happy with the results that you're getting. So let's go into this situation here. We do have the Hierophant and the Two of Pentacles. So first of all, the Hierophant indicates institution, structure, rigidity. It also indicates dealing with people who are very, very fixed in their ways, and it's almost like a very dogmatic type of an energy, okay? A lot of you might be in a work environment that is very, very structure, process oriented, and it's very slow to change, and I feel that you might feel it being a little bit too restricted for you, okay? Like too restrictive for you. And this indicates a lot of conformity as well. So you're either in a family situation where people are just like, this is the way things have been done since, the beginning of time. So as a result, you're going to have to conform, and you're going to have to do it the way everyone has been doing it. And you're just like, wait a minute, it hasn't really worked out in the past. So why are all these rules in place? So the rules and the regulations you're starting to see are basically roadblocks, or like red tape to getting the results that the organization, the company, or whatever work environment that is. Everyone is doing the same things in the same manner, and they're not really changing themselves. There's very little innovation. So as a result, it's like it's not fast yielding enough, and you're starting to see that all these regulations are put in place as hindrance to creative thinking, to entrepreneurship, and to innovation. So you're working in this type of environment, okay? For others of you in the home front as well, you might have had like a very, very traditional orthodox type of bringing, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you feel that it's not innovative enough, and you feel that some things from your past childhood conditioning, ways in which you were taught, things that you were like indoctrinated with as a child, you believe them to be true, and this is the month in which all of these things are being brought up for examination, for questioning. I do sense that you're usually a very I guess like you're slow to act, but this is the month in which mental energy is coming through heavily, so that you can re-examine these things, and that you can re-examine why are they in place? Why are these policies in place? Because they're getting in the way of streamlining work processes. They're getting in the way of efficiency and productivity. And you're going to find ways to address these issues, bring them up for review when it comes to dealing with supervisors, your manager. You're going to talk very honestly and candidly about what you see are the real problems. And I feel that you're going to be put in a position where a higher authority asks you, hey, how do you feel about that? What is your take on this? Because they trust your skills, they trust your expertise, they trust your honest and unbiased assessment. So they're going to take what you say into consideration. So my advice here is to be very, very honest, okay? It's not about conforming to whatever has been done before. It's more about like identifying some of the drawbacks that have been implemented in new procedures or existing procedurals manual, in order to move something along in a more streamlined, in a more efficient manner. It's linked up here with the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Pentacles, linked up with the Hierophant, indicates to me, it's kind of like a dilemma. And I hear ethical or moral dilemma, but I don't feel that you're not the ones to, sell your soul to the devil. I don't feel that's the case. But I feel like maybe when I review, all these things that's going wrong in the work environment, I might be throwing somebody under the bus, or I might like really shake up things that might not be, I might touch on topics that are a little bit sensitive. I might rub some people the wrong way, or I might have to be very, very careful about not rocking the boat, too much. So do I really want to rock the boat? Or do I really want to, keep things status quo? So I feel like you're grappling with this dilemma about like, do I, push through all the way? Or do I hold back a little bit and just give them enough to go off on without incriminating myself, without incriminating anybody? And how much change do I really want to implement? So a lot of you are starting to feel like, I feel like this David and Goliath type of energy coming through, where you're just like, I'm dealing with this very, very rigid, company, institution. And I'm only one person. Can I really make that big of a change, big of an impact? Should I just like, slink away and be under the radar and just, work behind the scenes? Or do I really want to rock the boat? And I feel that, we do have Mercury in retrograde, and you are ruled by Mercury. So you're going to be heavily, heavily affected when it comes to your communication, when it comes to your thinking, when it comes to the way you process information. So if this is something that has happened in the past, like in August, where someone told you, tell us what you really think about these things, I feel that this information is being brought to light again for you to either defend or sweep under the rug. And this is a really good month for you to stand up for your own truths, stand up and not be concerned with conformity. I feel that's going to be really important. Okay, so you're grappling with some big dilemmas here about whether or not I want to just remain anonymous, or do I want to rock the boat? And I feel that it is in a very, very big way. So stick to your guns. You have some very strong divine protection, and whatever you say is going to transform a situation, I feel, in a really positive light. So say what you need to say. People are asking you mainly because they respect your assessment. They trust your judgment, okay? I hope that makes sense. That is coming through very, very strongly in the work environment. I do feel as well, a lot of you are thinking about a major, major career shift, okay? So you might be shifting from working in an organization, working behind the scenes. This is like employment, like traditional, typical employment, where you're working for other people. You're working under the mandates of other people. And you might be trying to venture into self-employment. And if you are shifting in that direction, you're going to be really, really successful. You're going to be really happy. So I definitely feel you're still grappling. You're still like debating. You're still weighing out the pros and cons. Of course, everything in life, there are always pros and cons. But this is a really good month for you to give this another thought. Don't implement anything because Mercury in retrograde is going to run until September 22nd. So wait until October. I feel that's going to be a better time to do it. But I feel like you might have been thinking about this since May. And you're really wanting to push ahead, okay? Because you feel that working in this type of a rigid capacity might not be the best application of your skills and your assets, like the things you're bringing to the table. So you might be a little bit more anxious about starting things. I do feel that they're saying, wait until October or so. I think the energy is going to be better. Especially November is highly indicated for innovation, for major breakthroughs. So keep that in the back of your mind. But I do feel shifting overall to self-employment is very lucrative and financially rewarding for a lot of you. In terms of health, this deals with mental health and physical health, okay? The first thing here is we do have the Tower as well as the Star. both of these things appearing in next to one another can be very, very conflicting. So I'm going to talk about them individually, and then I'm going to pull out another card to see which area of your life this mainly pertains to, but I want to talk about the interpretations first. So the Tower is a major, major transformation. It is a rebuilding effort. Something that has been built on false foundation is crumbling down, is dismantling right before our eyes. It's happening very quickly, very swiftly, and this is something that I feel that a lot of you, you're very foundationally oriented. So that means whatever you do, it's built on, solid ground. Whatever you do, you think about it very, very carefully before you do it. So if you see the Tower, it basically means like long ago, you knew that it wasn't going to work. You knew that it was going to come crumbling down like a house of cards. And you might have been, just bracing yourself for impact. You might have been like, oh, let me just get through today. But I know this is going to come crumbling down. And then, the next day it's like, oh, not yet, but it's going to come crumbling down. And finally, it does for this month. And I do feel that it deals with communication between people, especially when it comes to like, if you're working in a rigid environment, if you're dealing with someone who is especially very, very, very rigid, fixed in their ways, not able to change, they might be really good people, but they are who they are, and they've been doing things, the same way since the advent of time, and they're just not able to find a creative way to break out of their rut. And if you yourself have been in situations where you're just like, I don't really like my job, I don't really like where I'm living, and you're forced to implement some major, major changes for your life right now in order to steer you in a better direction, okay? So I definitely feel a lot of you are thinking about self-employment. I feel like you're leaving whatever this situation is because you're just like, I'm doing so much work and other people are reaping the benefits of it, so I'm being underutilized and underemployed. So I'm going to move on to a better thing, and I do feel that you are divinely guided here, okay? This is not a decision that you made lightly, and this is not a decision that came out of the blue. Like, it's been something that you've been ruminating over, or you kept in the back burner, and this is the month in which it's kind of like, yeah, enough's enough. I'm going to start building for myself. And I know that I work hard, so I'm going to build in a way where, it benefits me. Okay, so taking back your power, reclaiming your power, knowing what it is that you're very good at and applying it in a way where it's beneficial to you. I do sense you kind of like emerging from behind the scenes and doing some massive healing, especially for some of you who are in mentorship and counseling, tutoring even. The people that you're dealing with, they're going to have some massive epiphanies and breakthroughs in a really good way. So if you've had that one difficult client and they're just like, my life is like this, and they've been stagnant for so long, I definitely feel some major breakthrough is coming through in their life where they are reassessing, the roles that they play and the ways in which they are contributing to the stagnation in their own life. You're going to see some breakthroughs from them as well. This is a card about healing. It's healing, cleansing on a deep spiritual level. Letting go of past situations that we felt like, if I'd only done this, if I'd only done that, what if, I behaved differently? What if the other person was different? You're letting go of these past, like, what ifs, and you're moving on into a more healing energy. You're taking ownership of your own life as well. For others, there might be like work situations, breakdowns within the work environment that gets people's tempers flaring. And then people are pretty much being shown. I feel like I'm seeing some structural breakdown. So, if people have been slacking off in the work environment, they're going to be weaned out of that environment. And I feel like, I feel some type of a reprimand, okay? So someone is being chastised for their behavior and they might be leaving the work environment. I was picking this up I have been picking it up for quite some time within your environment. And I feel like, Mercury retrograde is a good time for existing problems to be brought up or recurring problems to come back up for re-examination. And I feel there's some type of a reprimand in your work environment and people being weaned out, okay? So there's a lot of beautiful, positive changes that are coming through. So it's the Tower that comes out first, and I'm glad it's the Tower, not, the other way where the Star and then the Tower. But I feel like something is being broken down and it's being re-examined and rebuilt in a really, really beneficial way. So this is very good. I feel healing old family issues, long-standing conflict with somebody who has been very fixed and very rigid. That's coming through, and I do sense you're going to make really, really good traction overall in your life, okay? Life purpose, life goals are you're basically coming closer to realignment with life purpose and life goal here with the Star card. And the Star card is also a very big wish card, okay? And it says here to do it big when it comes to finances. Take a gamble, do it big. You're going to be handsomely rewarded, okay? In terms of your emotional life, we do have the Ace of Swords as well as the Prince of Cups. So I do sense for a lot of you, I think, let's talk about this first. The Ace of Swords indicates a victory. This is like cutting through the fog, cutting through the confusion, pushing forward with a situation. So because you see the end result, okay? Going back to the initial message that I was getting for a lot of you, hard work does pay off. So if you've been working behind the scenes, maintaining a relationship, this is the month in which your partner, whoever it is that you're dealing with, is coming back in and reciprocating, okay? They're putting in equal amount of work and they're showing the appreciation for you. So this is like coming in a very emotional way. That's going to make you feel really good, and it's going to validate everything that you've done in the past. It's going to push you to even to continue what you're doing. You're getting confirmation, you're getting some type of validation, you're getting recognition on the emotional front from your romantic partner or from like an interest, okay? If you've been like, I know that Virgos are quite shy. So if you've been eyeing somebody and you've like dropped little hints here and there, buying them food, buying them drinks, or dropping by, saying hello, saying goodbye every day, and you drop these hints, I feel like this is the month in which it's coming off, okay? All these little things that you've been doing, they're adding up to a big victory in a very, very good way, okay? So I do feel a lot of emotional nurturing and things like that is coming in, reciprocity, emotional exchange coming through with another person. I definitely see communication breakthrough. If you've had a lot of problems talking over one another, that's coming through and that's being healed as well. If you are dealing with a water sign, specifically Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, I definitely feel there is some type of an offer coming through, potentially from a water sign. And you're going to have to decide how you want to proceed, because I feel like they're also very, very shy in their own right. So they're going to make themselves known, but I feel like this is something that you're going to have to be really quick about on the uptake. This person seems very shy, very standoffish. They've got like a whirlwind of emotion underneath them, but I feel like they mask it very well. So they're going to be like, hey, do you want to do this? Or do you want to do that? And I feel like the way that they throw it about, that invitation, is going to be very nonchalant. So you're going to have to read between the lines a little bit and be very fast on the uptake, okay? Just say yes. Just say yes. I feel that it's going to pan out really well for you. So there is some major, major victory on the emotional front. So whatever that means to you, I feel like you're getting some type of confirmation here where it is a yes. If you've been devoting a lot of your time, energy, courting, wooing, or trying to push a relationship forward, I do feel this is the month in which things are going to be really paying out for you in the emotional front. So really good to see, Virgos. Now, in terms of communication, we do have the Princess of Pentacles as well as the Ten of Swords. So first of all, let's talk about this. This is the energy that you're bringing to the table, okay? The Princess of Pentacles is somebody, this is the Page of Pentacles in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. It indicates somebody who is very young. They're not like, they're still trying to figure things out. And I'm going to say this first because it came through. If you're dealing with another earth sign, a Taurus, a Virgo, another Virgo, or a Capricorn, I feel like you're dealing with someone who is emotionally and spiritually a lot younger than you. So that can even be, a parent who behaves in a way that is a little bit conventional, too controlling, too orthodox, too like biased in their views. It could be a romantic partner, for example, who was like raised on survival mode, and that means they came from an environment of financial lack. And I feel this is across the board. If you're dealing with somebody who grew up in an environment where they had a lot of financial worries, they had a lot of financial concerns, and they were constantly in survival mode, scrounging for the next opportunity, and they couldn't, do the long-term planning. And a lot of the times, for example, if we're living from paycheck to paycheck, and we're constantly having to worry about how we're going to make ends meet, how we're going to pay the bills, a lot of you could very well be going through this, but I feel like a small minority of you, whereas you're dealing with another person that is bringing the energy where they grew up in financial, emotional, spiritual, and also financial poverty. I feel like it really hinder their emotional development. And they might lash out in very unhealthy ways. They might have a very weak understanding of their emotional state. They might have a very weak understanding of life. They don't have a firm grasp on their foundation. And I feel that for a lot of you, there is going to be healing. I feel like you're providing some type of healing for this person so that they can see that, they're not the product of their environment. So you're going to help them overcome that sense of inadequacy. You're also going to help them overcome that sense of like that victim mentality where, it's like, woe is me. I grew up like this and I turned out like this. It's not really my fault. I feel like you're helping somebody see that we all have free will, and that how they conduct themselves, regardless of their upbringing, how they conduct themselves now, is going to be of the utmost importance in achieving and the life that they want, and in mending that sense of self-esteem. So I do feel you're mentoring somebody, you're showing somebody the proper way to do things, and you're showing somebody, honestly, that hard work does pay off. So right now, they're kind of like at a crossroads. They can decide, do I want to push forward, work hard, and just push through this stagnation, push through this obstacle, or do I want to give up? And I feel like as much as you might want to convince this person, I don't feel that emotionally they're ready for that yet. And I feel it's going to take a lot more convincing, possibly till the end of this month, for them to see that they need to implement some new method. They need to implement a new way of doing, and they need to implement like a different way of doing things so that they can achieve things that they want. Okay, so I keep going back to the message. I feel like you're dealing with someone from that has been going through a lot of hardships, and they're operating from a place of emotional and spiritual and financial lack, and they've never had time to do deep introspections in their own lives, okay? And as a result, they might not see things from your point of view. And it won't be until the end of this month in which they come around. On the other hand, a lot of you are in a main source of employment type of a situation. You're like employed, and you're realizing that you're underemployed, or you're not being properly valued in your work environment. I feel that you're finally coming to the conclusion that this place is whack. I'm not going to put in the effort because it's not being reciprocated, okay? So I do sense you're going to venture out and you're going to move on from this work environment. And I do commend you for doing that, because I do sense, enough is enough. And I feel that you're overworked, underpaid. And I feel like overall there's a lot of disruption in that source of, there's a lot of disruption where people, it's not like a merit-based type of a system. There's some type of inequality. It's just unfair, and you realize that you might be making more money, getting a big career boost professionally in a different work environment. So you might be just like, enough's enough. Here's my 2 weeks notice, or you might not even do that. You might just walk out. And I feel that don't burn bridges. Okay, just put in your 2 weeks notice. get everything in an orderly fashion for the next person that's coming in to replace you. It's never good to burn bridges, especially when it comes to employers and supervisors and, work on the work front. In life in general, don't ever walk out on another person. Have that, stay calm and have that discussion so that there can be closure for both parties. And I feel like on an energetic level, it is really good for us to tie things up in a good manner, in a really good fashion with all of our interpersonal relationships. So don't leave things open-ended. Don't walk out. Just, calmly discuss how you feel and move forward, okay? But some situations coming to an end, it's like that crossroads moment where it's like one path, whatever path that you take, it negates the other path for you. So you're gonna have to make some major decisions for this month, okay?